Hey there, my fellow designers and creatives. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another video in this Rive tutorial series. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and create and set up the animations for the dots and the stars. So if I were to quickly show you what we're going to be doing, if I go to the tab, press F to frame this and play this, you can see that the dots animate. However, they are not animating at the right points, but the focus of this video is just to animate it. And I'm going to show you a couple of tricks here and there. And we're also going to use a concept of nested artboards where I can create the animation in a separate artboard, sort of like components from Figma, and then import instances of that over here. And then they carry forward all the animation settings, all the timelines, everything, right? So in this video, we're not going to go ahead and set up any logic. We're just going to go ahead and create the animation. And in the next video, we're going to go ahead and set up the logic. So without any further ado, let's get started. All right. So now let's go ahead and animate the stars and the dots so that we can use it. Now, the thing is that because these dots have the same animation, we can sort of create them into components, and very similar to how you do it in Figma or any other tool or any other design tool, I would say, you can create components and then use them as instances. And you can also create the components with animations and you can just then import it, right? So we're going to use the concept of nested artboards, which is basically components and instances. There's no really any difference between that. So let's go ahead and do it. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this. I'm going to pick one of the dots and I'm going to create a frame. So if you see over here, the dot is around 12 by 12 pixel. I'm going to go ahead and create a new artboard, or basically a frame. And here I'm going to say, let's try that again, artboard, 15 by 15. So I'm going to say 15 by 15 pixels. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and call this dot. And here I will just set the origin to 50 by 50 because, I like things to be in the center. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this and I'm going to paste that over here in the middle. Sometimes things don't get pasted correctly. So I'm just going to go ahead and just paste it over here. Okay. So we have a dot. We don't need the background. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the background. I can right click and just choose delete. We don't need the background. So how does this animation actually work? So if I go to the website, which is 60 FPS, you can see, maybe I'm going to slow this down. You can see that it just, it just does a gradual fade from yellow to a black color, or a gray color, with the lower opacity. That's about it, right? It's very simple and straightforward. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So it doesn't matter what the default state is. It absolutely doesn't matter at all, because when we set up the animation, then we can define what the start state is, right? So here we can leave it. So here we can leave it yellow if we want. And I'm going to go to the animate tab by pressing tab. All right. And here we have basically a default view. So the moment you create a new artboard, then you will basically have, defaulted to everything, that is default. So let's go ahead and create the timeline. So here I'm just going to say dot animation. Now, at this point, we don't really want to use blend states, because if you think about it, and if you have seen the previous videos, you know when to use blend states and when not. But basically, because this animation just happens on a certain condition, we don't really have to control this animation, how this animation works. It just does its thing. The same thing even with the star. You don't really have to control the states of the stars. The star will just animate as it is. The dot will just animate as it is. We just have to tell the system when to animate it, right? So this is going to be a simple animation, just like the normal progress bar that we have over here. So I'm going to go here to the beginning and I'm going to go ahead and add a keyframe. So let's click on this and I'm going to go ahead and set a keyframe. Now I want this to be like just 15 frames or maybe 20 frames. Let's see. I'm going to move this over to the right side because I want the yellow to be here. All right. And then I'm going to come back over to the beginning and we're going to change the color. Now, for now, I'm going to go ahead and just set it to black and reduce the opacity to like 20%. But let's see if this is good enough. For now, I think this should be fine. It's just a simple fade. All right. And actually, I think, if I'm wrong, it needs to be like this. It goes from yellow to this, right? And if I play this, okay, maybe even 10 frames is fine. It doesn't really have to be that slow, right? And I can select both of them and then just add a decent ease, just normal ease, and then play this. Yeah, I think that's fine. Maybe 15 frames is good enough. Let's try that. Okay, maybe 10 frames or 12 frames. Yeah, let's do 12 frames. Okay. And because we don't need any of the rest, we can also just set the duration to be 12 frames. We don't really need it to be that long. And so then we just get this one animation, right? Super simple. There's really nothing to it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the design tab by pressing tab. All right. And what I will do is I will replace this with the artboard that we created. So if I go here and choose nested artboard, I can click and I can basically choose a nested artboard, which is basically like placing an instance. All right. There we go. Now I want to just replace this exactly. I don't know if I can do that over here. I don't know if there's a function to replace, so I will have to do this manually. So you see here the position is 59 and minus 121.5. So I'm going to just do the same. I'm going to say 59 and minus 121.5, right? And then I can select the dot one and delete that. So we have our dot and I'm going to rename this to dot bud. So this is our nested artboard. I'm going to do the same thing over here, make a copy, all right? Move this down and move this over to the right side. And let's just see what the values are here. This is 128 and minus 35.5. So 128 and minus 35.5. Okay. And then I can delete dot number 2 and then duplicate this once more. We have dot number 3. All right. And dot number 3 is down here, which is 92 and 91.5. So delete this. We can set this to 92 and 91.5. Okay. There we go. Pretty simple. So we've got ourselves our dots. Now, if I come to the state machine over here, if I just play this because it's just linking to the dot animation, the animation just plays. So, really nothing. Now here, when I click on this and open up the animation, we do the state machine, all right? And I play this, it just automatically plays because the dot is also playing, but from its own state animation, right? It's not playing from this. We haven't set up anything over here from the parent artboard. It's just playing it from the main artboard, right? It's basically like an instance, exactly how it's supposed to work. But we're going to configure this after we set up the stars. So let's go ahead and do the stars. Now I'm going to ungroup the stars, and actually I can group all of the dots. So just press Command G to group, and I can call this dots to keep things simple. And now the star, I'm going to pick the first one, and this is what is the size, right? Now here it's not really telling me the size, which is a little weird. And I don't even know how to find the size. It doesn't really tell me the size. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just create a new artboard. All right. And I'm just going to create like a random size for now. And then I'm going to copy this or maybe let's just copy that. Command C, come over here and paste. All right. And I want to move this to the center. All right. And I'm going to give some space because I want to have some nice bounce. I want to have some nice ripple effect. All right. So I'm going to probably move this a little bit down. All right. So let's say 10 pixels from the left and 10 pixels from the right. So if I set this to 24, all right. So 10 pixels from the left and 10 pixels from the top. And we want to do the same thing over here. So I'm just going to add 10 pixels. So 58 plus 10. And here this is 56 plus 10, that is 66. All right. And here I'm going to go ahead and call this star. And here I want to remove the background, delete. All right. Now we have two options of how we want to animate the star. Now, if we go to the original animation, if you see over here, the original star, let me see if I can get a nice frame. It just like sort of appears. So if I play this, you can see that the star just appears. There's no animation, but I want it to have like a nice bounce effect. And we have two options. Either we can change the color of this black star to be yellow, or we can have two layers just the way we're doing here. We can make the black star look like this, and then we can make the yellow star sort of come from the center of the screen and scale and shrink. We have a couple of options. We can do either just transition this to this, or we can have two layers where the black one stays as it is, and then we have a yellow star which is like 0, which is very small, and then that just pops out and then it sits on top. Very similar to the progress bar over here. There are two layers on top of each other. So I'm going to go with that approach. I'm going to go ahead and start renaming this first. I'm going to go ahead and call this star base. Okay. And I'm going to apply this color that we have over here. So just going to go ahead and pick whip this color. Okay. And okay, I'm zoom in. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this by pressing Command C, Command V. And this is going to be star main, whatever, doesn't really matter. And this, we want this to be yellow color. I'm going to go ahead and just choose the yellow color. Okay. So now we are ready to animate this. So go to the animate tab, okay? And in the timeline, I'm going to go ahead and call this star bounce animation, okay? And we can just call this state machine. Now in the star bounce animation, we probably want this to be around 30 frames. I don't know, let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and select the size of this first. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the size, and I can turn this on. So if I set this to 0, this also sets to 0. I'm going to move down 15 frames. I'm going to make this around 120. So it's bigger than the original size. And then another 10 frames down, or let's do 15 frames down, and then we can change the settings later. I'm going to set this back to 90. All right. And then around 45, we set this to 100. So if I play this, let's see how this looks. Okay, so basically this is what we have. All right, of course, it looks terrible. So we can select this entire thing and we can add some easing. Now I'll try to add the same easing that I added to the other elements. So if I go to this one, click here. Let's see if this works. I'm going to copy this and come to the state machine of the other one in the star. And let me see if I paste this, is this good values? So now let's try. Okay, now I think we need a different animation. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just set this back to default. Now here, this one is fine, but I want the beginning to just shoot up. All right, so if you see over here, it just does a big shoot up. And if I remove this, all right, and I can reduce the gap over here to 10, and then probably 5 over here. So let's see. Maybe we need a little bit more over here. Okay. Now, if we want, we can also use this thing called as elastic. So what that basically means is if I delete these 2 keyframes, okay, and if I turn on elastic, so if I select these 2 or select these 2 and turn on elastic, all right, I can actually just increase some of the values over here. And it does like this nice elastic effect, which I think looks really nice. It just pops out really quickly. All right, looks nice. Let's try something else. So we get this little bounce effect. All right, this also looks super cool. So around 0.4 maybe. Oh, if I do this, let's see. So we get, so you can choose how strong you want this effect to be. All right, I think 0.7 is good. Right, so it's a gradual fade out. Maybe we can make this around 45 frames. Let's see. Okay, maybe 40 frames is fine. All right, and also you can choose the various easins. All right, if I do an easin, you can see it doesn't make much of a difference. So I'm just going to go choose ease out. All right, and the first keyframe also looks like this. So if I select both of them, all right, this is basically what we have. Okay, I think I like this. Now, what we want is when this explosion happens, we want to have some sort of a ripple effect as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the star main, copy that, and here I'm going to say star stroke. So this one is only going to be a stroke. All right. So if I hide the main for now, all right, and even if I hide the base, and let's actually go back to the design mode. All right. If I turn on the main and turn off the base, here I'm going to remove the fill and I'm going to add strokes. All right. And here, obviously, I'm going to have the color to be this yellow color, and maybe we have 2 pixels. All right. So now I want to animate the stroke as well. So the stroke also is being animated because we duplicated the one with the keyframe. Okay. But for this one, which is the star stroke, we want the size here to sort of go from 0 to more than 100, because we want it to sort of explode, which basically means we want it to probably go to like 130. All right. We want it to sort of explode like that. Now, if I play this, this is basically what we get. Now I want to control the opacity as well. All right. So I can click on the stroke and come here to the opacity, set a keyframe for the opacity, and then come to the end. And here I want to set the opacity to 0. So it fades away. So now let's play this. Okay. Now, of course, it's terrible. So let's go to the opacity keyframes. I'm going to select that and I'll just add an easy ease. All right. And let's see how this looks. Okay, so we want that explosion to sort of end over here itself. So I'm going to move this over here. Let's see how that looks. All right, I mean, maybe we need it to be a little bit more. All right. I think for this one, we probably need a simpler easing, or maybe I think linear is fine over here. Now, if you see over here, the scaling happens over here. So maybe let's go ahead and let's say if we increase this to 55 frames, does it look better? No, okay, of course it takes a long time. So the star stroke, we want that. And I think if you see over here, it's actually going beyond the artboard, which I think is fine. Okay, it doesn't really matter that much. All right. And I think at 10 frames is what, or maybe we make this 15 and let's see if that is good. All right. And here, maybe for the scale, we don't need to make it match this. We can just do a normal one and then we drag it like this. So now for some reason, I'm not even able to see the stroke. That's probably because it animated really quickly. So maybe we take this and then we reduce this down to 20 frames. All right, and I'm just playing around over here. And then we take this and set this to 25. All right, so now we can sort of see it. If I just close in, we can sort of see it. So I'm going to make this 15 frames and then make this 20 frames. All right. Now maybe we make this 10 frames and then we make this 15 frames. All right, so there's something that's happening and I think that looks okay. All right. Maybe we increase the size of this. So from 130, we make that 150. All right, now let's see. All right, looks like something is happening and I think that's okay. Let's set it to 15, right? So obviously I don't want to spend too much time animating this, but I think this should be fine. And this is basically what we have. All right. Now, of course, I want to set the origin here to 50-50, which I should have done earlier, but it's fine. We can just select all these items, go to design mode, and then just bring them back over here. All right. So now if I play this, this is what we get. And I think that looks okay, right? Maybe another thing that we can do is we can also reduce the stroke thickness. All right. If I can figure that out. So I'm going to come down here to, let's say at 5 frames, I want to click on the star stroke and I want to set that from 2. I want to add a keyframe for the stroke thickness. And over here, I want to set that to 1. So now if I just add some little easing. Let's see how that looks. And if I play this slowly, you can see that it fades away. And maybe we can start the stroke thickness from here itself. Okay. So we can see that fade away. Okay. Not the best, but I think it's fine. So now I'm going to go click on the main animation, press N on the keyboard, click here, and I'm going to add the star artboard. Okay. I'm going to take this and bring this down over here. Okay. And for some reason, this seems to be super thick. So, and I think that's because of the stroke. So the stroke, I'm just going to set that to 0 for now. Okay. But it doesn't matter because we've already animated it. And so the animation should stay. So in the default state, it doesn't matter how it looks. All right. And then I'm going to click on this and then just bring that over here. Okay. And so position 0 and then here Y114. Okay. And then I can delete the star number 2, which is in the middle. And I can rename this to star 2, which is in the middle star. And I'm going to duplicate this, move this over to the side, and we're going to add a little bit of rotation. So let's say around -11, -12. Let's see. Yeah, I think -12 is a good number. So I'm just going to move this over to as close as I can. Delete the third star. Okay. Let's see if I can get some decent values. So move this a little bit closer. So 54. All right. And then I can delete this one, copy that, paste that, and then this is going to be star 1. So double click star 1. Okay. And move this over to the right side. And here we will say +12. Okay. So I'm going to move this over to the right side. All right. So here This is 0, this is 54. So here we want this to be negative 54. All right, so we've got this. So now if I go to the state machine of the main animation, press F, and then I play this, you see all the animations happen. Now, things are looking a little odd over here. So what I want to do is I'm going to come back to the design tab over here. And what I want to do here is for the star base, which is basically the black color, or basically blue in this case, I'm going to copy that. And I just want to add a little bit of stroke around like 6 pixels. And I'm going to paste that. And I just wanted to make sure that it matches well neatly like this. Maybe I think 6 is a bit too much. All right. So if you see over here, the position is 1. I'm actually going to set that to 0. Select the base. Set that to 0. And probably also move the dots by 1 pixel. Okay. So now things are a little in the center. This is fine. Now if I click on the main animation, go to tab, and I play it. Okay, looks fine. Looks pretty good. So, and just to confirm once, if I go back to the star, click on the animate tab, and if I go to the start state, this is how it looks. And as things animate, things pop and appear. Okay. So now in the next video, we're going to go ahead and set up the logic and trigger these elements appropriately at the right times. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing, awesome content. I'll see you guys in my next video. So then take care and bye-bye.